Hello everybody, it's Jamie and I am here to give a final Music History 3 presentation on world music at a glance. What it is, the similarities between the world music that we've looked at, and then also the differences between three specific cultures, the differences in which they carry out the similarities primarily. And so let's get started. So over this course we've looked at the music of the mariachi, Native America, Black America, Latin America, Africa, India, Asia, Central and Southeastern Europe. And so that's pretty an extensive list there. And you try to come up with a definition for world music that encompasses all these is pretty much impossible because world music is all-encompassing. It encompasses a variety of musical styles and genres and traditions of music from all around the world. So basically, world music is anything outside of our own music culture. And so with all of these, they're vastly different, but then it's interesting how music becomes the overarching element that kind of connects all of them together, that holds the world together in a sense. And so I find that really interesting, but we'll see that play out as we continue on here. So even though they are very different, we have found a couple similarities that we can make and observe. And so let's look at the couple that I chose to talk about. What do they all have in common? Number one, music is a way of life. It's not merely a source of entertainment. I think in our culture today, in our Western culture, there is an emphasis on entertainment, more so. I wouldn't venture to say that music is a way of life. No doubt it has its influence in our life, but a lot of times it's just music is a noise filler, or it is just for that entertainment. It's like, in the background, or it's, overhead on the overhead speakers in the mall, or in your car on the radio, where you can really not be listening to the music necessarily. It's more just for your enjoyment, where that's almost a foreign idea to some of these cultures. Music encompasses their work and their religion and their family life and the way they view the world and the way they view themselves and the way they view God and all these other aspects. And so music is definitely a way of life, not just entertainment. Number two, many cultures lack a formal musical notation. Not to say that they're without it completely, but formal music notation as we would think of it is more like with our scores and symphonies and requiems and all those fun pieces. That's more of a European and Western idea. A lot of these music cultures, it's very minimal. The music notation maybe will just make some tempo markings or instrument markings, but as far as being so extensive, it's really not so much. More passed down from generation to generation orally. Lastly, number three, making music calls for the incorporation of other art forms. We learned this with some of our 20th century composers. I remembered where one composer said that music without another form of art combined with it is almost useless. And so as much as we would think that as a 20th century idea, it really relates all the way back to these more ancient civilizations, where music does not just include instruments and voices. It is dance, it is theater, it is makeup and costumes and everyone singing, dancing, and it's very inclusive. So now let's look more specifically at the three cultures that I decided to look at. First being the Navajo, then India, then East Asia, and on that cool little map up there that I found, I just put the arrows there to point out where these cultures are found and their countries are found. Just again pointing out that they're in completely different areas, and yet there's so many similarities that can be drawn. Okay, so let's look at the Navajo people first. Their music shares a variety of genres, but also a very strong connection to religion. Religion is a key element in their music. Every element has a purpose. Every note, syllable, step, every beat of the drum will have a purpose and often relates to a spiritual aspect. Much of their music is performed out of respect to nature and to their gods, and it's passed down by oral tradition and oral memory, so from generation to generation. And there's heavy percussion accompaniment. That is the foundation, basically, of the Navajo music. And there's different types of music. There's ceremonial, which would be used for more of like healing or hunting or harvesting or to ward off evil spirits. They're social, so like if they're dancing or singing around the campfire, telling stories and telling about the different legends and things like that. There's that aspect to the music, the social aspect, and then there's also recreational music, which is more for relating to songs sung by children during their playtime or music performed for tribal celebrations and those type of things. One thing with the Navajo Indians is everyone dances, everyone sings. It is a highly inclusive part of their life. Music brings everyone together. Moving on to the music of India. This is a democratic country where the majority of people practice Hinduism, and dance is also the usual accompaniment to Indian music. You hardly see Indian music without dance. It's often erotic dance, a little more romantic, even like sensual, but in any case, there's a lot of genres to it as well. And there's pop music, which is called scene songs, that incorporates music with acting and it uses playback singers. There's concert music, more of a formal feel, called Carnatic or Karnataka Sangeeta. And then there's tribal and folk music. There's the Bajan music, Bajan, a religious form sung as an offering to their gods. And so, yeah, that's what I found really interesting as Dre was talking about when she presented on India, is just the fact that there's so many genres in the Indian culture of music. And they take a variety of different forms, and mainly though dance is huge with this country in regards to their music. And finally, let's look at these Asian countries of China, Singapore, and Taiwan. These countries are greatly influenced by Western music ideas. They're infatuated with what is new as far as music goes in the Western culture. A lot of their music carries a sense of formality, and you can see that in the picture that I found online that I posted there. It's like a Chinese orchestra, which is pretty neat. Also, from Christian, we learned about the Chinese street opera in Singapore, and there's temple music. And then the music of Taiwan specifically is more vocal, and then whereas the music of China does give a little more intention to instrumentation. Jenny was great at showing us all the different instruments like the erhu and other things that they're kind of westernized, like with the string and bowed instruments, but at the same time they're more ancient than our instruments are. And so, but there still is that sense of formality in the Asian music culture. I just want to end with this, that music is a universal language of mankind. That was said by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and I love that quote because it is absolutely true. Whether you have two totally different people or two totally different cultures or geographic locations, music can be that glue or that bridge between the two. And even though you might even not know the language or the culture very well, but there's an appreciation that can be found for all these different types of music, regardless whether it's your own culture or not. And so that is really awesome. The most amazing thing I think about music is just how it can touch lives of totally different places, of totally different walks of life. And yeah, so music serves as a universal language. Thank you for watching, you all. I hope and pray that you have a wonderful finals week. I know I need the prayer too, so good luck to you all. Thanks for watching. Now I'm going to try to exit from this.